Wagner mercenaries claim to have taken even more territory around Bakhmut. Is it true? And is it bad news for the Ukrainian armed forces? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It is November 30th, 2022. This is your daily Ukraine update. Okay, so when we look at the map right now, there's only one series of reported attacks, or at least repelled attacks, that the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense is talking about to the north of Bakhmut here at Bilohorivka. But when we look to the south, we can see that Russian forces have claimed, and this map has assessed control, as we talked about yesterday, of Kurdyumivka. This is a town of, I would say limited strategic value. Its value is primarily relative to Bakhmut, at least, in its major roadway and railway system that feeds into the city. But the truth is, this railway isn't controlled fully by either side, meaning that it has limited strategic value or operational value in the battle for Bakhmut. But when we look at Deep State Map, they have actually updated somewhat more recently and are assessing that Russian forces now fully control the town of Andriivka. You can see here they have advanced. This actually doesn't assess them as having controlled Kurdyumivka. This is, of course, exactly what we would expect from the fog of war. But I think it's fair to say my assessment in this is that these two areas are probably going to fall shortly after one another, simply because, as you can see, that once you've knocked the defensive positions of Kurdyumivka out, it's going to be very hard to hold Andriivka and vice versa. These are only, looks like maybe 2, possibly 3 kilometers apart. So if you can control this area here, Kurdyumivka, you can put mortars, you can even put certain general purpose machine gun fire onto Andriivka, and the forces there will actually have will be facing fire from not just their east, but from their south as well. This is, of course, a tight spot to be in. So I would expect that actually shortly, probably in the next 24 hours, this map will update and both maps will assess Kurdyumivka and Andriivka as being in Russian hands. I suspect that the immediate reason for this is that troops from Kherson have probably reinforced this area. I know I've said that I don't expect Russian Ministry of Defense troops to back up Wagner mercenaries, but it seems within the realm of possibility that I was incorrect in that assessment. However, it's also possible that the actual line of contact where Ministry of Defense troops and DNR, LNR, and Wagner mercenaries begin may be to the north of these locations, right? They may be trying to seize this, encircle Bakhmut. But again, then you're stuck with the situation where the Ministry of Defense is going to have to set conditions to ensure that the Wagner group actually gets the credit for seizing Bakhmut. Von Clausewitz said war is politics by other means, and we have to always be aware of the political considerations at work here. This was a hard lesson I had to learn in Afghanistan, that the Army and the officer corps, they're political animals, and we have to understand, if you want to be successful as a warfighter, you have to be successful as a politician. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, I actually suspect that Russian MOD troops will probably continue to make advances here and attempt to cut off this southern axis from Bakhmut. Possibly, I suspect their next target is this Klitschivka. You can see here, by seizing that, they will again further encircle Bakhmut. Russia's been pretty explicit that this is their overall strategic goal, is to encircle the city and force a withdrawal. However, it's also possible that we may see them seize Klitschivka, and that then you will see focuses again, it's so hard to assess without knowing where the line of contact ends. It's possible that Russian conventional forces, right, their airborne forces and their coastal forces, are going to make effective gains to the south and that the less effective Wagner mercenaries are going to struggle to do their part in the north. I think that's highly possible if they are indeed in the northern part of the region, which I sort of suspect is true. But if it is, then the units to the south will actually have a really hard time of things, because without the northern encirclement, you could see that this won't be an encircling of Bakhmut. They themselves will end up being encircled, especially if they try to advance beyond Klachivka, where you can see there's just a lot of open space that they're going to have a really hard time attempting to cross. Again, this is why momentum and coordination is so important. You can't just launch a single offensive prong, or else you'll be the one who's exposed to enemy fire. Whereas if you can coordinate your efforts into a proper encirclement, then you will be able to actually put your opponent on the back foot. Do I think that's going to happen? I'd say it's a toss-up. I really would. The Wagner Group hates the Ministry of Defense. The Ministry of Defense has considerable incentive to see the Wagner Group fail on the battlefield. They benefit but from every Wagner mercenary that falls, that becomes KIA. They benefit politically. The Ministry of Defense at the highest levels benefit from every embarrassing defeat that Prigozhin suffers. So I suspect that you will see continued gains to the south, but it is a toss-up of whether the Wagner Group and the DNR LNR troops can do their part in this effort and complete the encirclement. It's hard for me to criticize anything the Ukrainian forces are doing. And the reason is because, by all accounts, this has absorbed a massive number of casualties on the Russian side. Russians have burned disproportionate men and material to seize this area, this town, and it's not strategically significant. It won't facilitate the collapse of any sort of major center. Again, 6 months ago, or 3 months ago, when Russia controlled all the way past Lyman, it would be a problem. Right? You can see how seizing Bakhmut would complete an encirclement. But now that's simply not the case. These troops aren't encircled. This is a relatively stable front line, and so seizing Bakhmut won't facilitate an encirclement. And so by baiting the Russian troops to engage in an absolute barn burner offensive operation here, where they just are cooking their troops. I mean, it's hard to exaggerate just how bad things are for the Russian troops trying to take this town. It's like the Sun Tzu says, don't interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. And right now, they are just racking up casualties to seize something of little value. And that's why I think you don't really see Ukrainian counterattacks here, because they don't need to. And, virtually every resident of Bakhmut has probably cleared out of there. I can only imagine the level of destruction in this town. So when Russia finally burns enough personnel, men, and material to seize it, Ukrainian forces will just withdraw to another defensible location, possibly Kramatorsk or Seversk, or even somewhere more nearby, like this Blahodatne or Soledar. There's so many options where they can fight. Chasiv Yar, where they'll just force the Russians to run the playbook again and burn massive, massive numbers of their troops. So again, while I don't want to see Russia take territory, when they take territory, this is how you want to see it happen: at tremendous personal cost, at little change to the overall strategic situation. And of course, ideally in a way that facilitates exacerbates the existing political fault lines within the Kremlin, right? Preventing even further the coordination that's necessary to win a war. Anyway, guys, that's all I had for you. Thank you so much. As always, if you want access to the uncensored combat video breakdowns, the kind YouTube won't let me show you, the viral clips I'm talking about, I do all of those breakdowns on my Patreon. They're a huge supporter of the channel. And thanks so much to my lieutenant tier patrons. You guys are the ones who really make this all possible. I'll see you all in the next one.